Good morning. For those of you that have just arrived, please feel free to enjoy your breakfast while I'm talking. I'm going to be sharing something with you about the purpose of a company. Over the last several decades, business minds have come up with many things and formulas that a company should have and must have in order to be successful. And these are formulas that you're all familiar with. A mission statement, a value proposition, a strategic plan, a vision, then the one thing that you can be number one or number two at. In the last few years, along with global warming, all of this process has culminated in one big existential / philosophical crisis. And now the next question that companies must answer is, what is our purpose? What are we here to do? And what is it that we don't do? What is the hot dish that we bring into the table? And I'm not talking about the handsome financial director sitting next to you. Who would miss us if we weren't here anymore? These are thought-provoking questions. And we at Network Finance have also spent some time thinking about these questions, and we've made a little bit of progress in answering them, and I'd like to share a little bit of that information with you. So, Network Finance, what is the hot dish that we bring to the table? And I believe that what distinguishes us in the marketplace is our focus on specialist recruitment, our teams of consultants that in each of these following areas, tax, chartered accountants, IT audit, IT risk, compliance, that specialize in these areas and offer an expert recruitment service. In terms of the other question we need to answer, who would miss us if we weren't here anymore? Network Finance places approximately 450 people in a year, including financial managers, CFOs, internal auditors, IT auditors, and risk and tax specialists. And just a little bit of who these people are in terms of demographics: 46% male, 54% female, 38% black, 40% white. For the accountants, the other 12% is Asian and coloured. And before I share with you some of what I'm going to talk about, which is the survey findings on some recruitment trends, I'd like to point out to you to our new website. Of course, you can now also find us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. Okay, so I'm going to be briefly talking to you an overview of challenges and trends in the recruitment of financial professionals. So Network Finance recently conducted research in the form of an online survey, and we also used our own in-house data to compile the findings. The executive summary and key findings of this research is also available. You can access it through our website. I'm just looking at the categories, the job categories that our respondents were categorized into. Directors 6%, managers 49%, auditors 15%, accountants 17%, clerical or bookkeeper 8%, and then just again the male and female. And right, for the gentlemen in the room, you'll be happy to know that you do. It's still a man's world. Women are well represented in the financial sector, but they are less likely than men to have highly paid positions. We can see that of candidates earning over 650k in annum, 64% were male. Right, so it's all about the challenge of attraction and retention in recruiting financial professionals. I'm going to show you a slide that talks about the appointments that last less than 3 months and the reasons why candidates decline offers. In terms of things going wrong with securing a new employee, 11% take counter offers. And in part of this survey findings, we also saw that 50% of our respondents, it was obviously an anonymous survey, 50% indicated they are indeed open for a counter offer. So, if that's either good news for you if you're wanting to retain someone, or bad news if you're wanting to recruit someone, it can either work for or against you. And 24% declined due to, so what that shows us is the marketplace is quite competitive and brisk, and the salary demand is a big factor. 24% declined offers due to the offer being what they consider to be too low. Talking a little bit about culture mismatch, these are appointments that last less than 3 months, and 28% are due to a culture mismatch, for lack of a better word, where things just go wrong in that person's first 3 months. And again, it points us to the need for the constant reviewing of hiring and recruitment practices. One of the things that Jim Collins says about a great company is that it autopsies its hiring mistakes, applying the lessons systematically to future hiring decisions. A little bit of info about the staff turnover percentages in different industries that I'd like to share with you. In the finance, insurance, and business services, average staff turnover percentage, and this is just something to benchmark your own company against, is sitting at about 13%. In manufacturing and FMCG, it's sitting at 15%. And in professional services, 17%. Another aspect that we looked at is how did these financial professionals get placed in their current positions. And we found that the recommendation for companies is that they need to use a variety of methods in attracting the right people. We can see there that I think it was about 46% of respondents either approached an agency or were approached by one, and 14% interacted directly with the employer in order to secure themselves a new position. It's interesting to see that employers' websites at 3% hasn't made a huge impact. I think at one point there was an expectation that this would be a big recruitment tool for companies. The other interesting category is people who get placed in a new job through being referred by a friend. And many companies are in fact implementing referral policies with significant incentives for their own staff to refer people they know into the company. And it's got a very high success rate, this method of recruitment. Not quite as high as the agencies, but a high success rate nonetheless. Another challenge in the aspect of attracting and retaining financial staff is looking at the stats on immigration. And in the respondents that we surveyed, there was over a quarter, so it was 27% were open or were keen to pursue international opportunities within the next 2 years. And these were typically the younger respondents, which is to be expected. All right, so in this marketplace where attraction and retention of staff is so important, companies need to be positioning themselves as an employer of choice. And here we see a slide that shows the reasons for leaving current employment. Career growth and financial reasons are the two main reasons why respondents would consider leaving a current employer. So here we see that the need for career growth, or perhaps a lack of career growth, is a major push factor that would cause people to leave their current employer. And money still talks. Financial reasons remains a very high factor. So it shows the challenge of the salary demand and also how financial professionals value personal development and self-mastery in their careers. But that's a very big value. And looking now at a slide that shows what would influence taking up a job offer. So if I'm faced with a decision whether to accept an opportunity at a company that a company is offering me, how would I look at it? salary is a pull factor. So salary is the main reason why respondents would consider changing jobs. I'd also like you to take note on this slide of flexible working hours at 26% as what would influence someone in taking up a job offer. And location. Hopefully the Gautrain will help us with that. All right, so it's quite interesting that it seems like common sense and like a bit of a no-brainer, but we often still find that there are still some companies that haven't got a well-formulated benefits summary or a well-formulated communication document or communication method, either in the hiring process or in the induction process, to effectively communicate the pros, the benefits, the selling points that their company can offer an employee. And that's all part of positioning yourself as an employer of choice. Another aspect that companies cannot ignore anymore in South Africa is the issue of workplace flexibility. Increasingly, employees are demanding more say in when and where they work. And the trend is catching on in South Africa. I think what I've recently read is that about 49% of companies in South Africa have got some type of flexible working policy in place, and I believe that the trend is continuing to grow. We also know, and I mean, I'm sure many of you have heard about the generational theory, showing that the new entrants into the job market have got an even bigger emphasis on wanting to work very flexibly. And there are there's always the fear of productivity being affected, but all the international studies have in fact proven that productivity increases, so something to think about. Okay, briefly I'd like to just touch on the topic of retention and the challenge of retention. This slide shows the typical tenure at companies of the respondents we surveyed in finance. And we see that 39% of respondents have been with their current employer for less than 2 years, and 36% have been there for between 3 and 5 years. So what is our definition of a job hopper? It seems that things are changing. It seems that there would be more and more of a trend towards, in the future anyway, of a more project-based type of way of working. A total of 50% of the issues for leaving current employment. Looking at lack of leadership, 19%, not enough empowerment at 20%, direct manager not suitable at 11%. That, to me, adds up to 50%. And these are issues that relate to leadership and management. So I still believe that people leave managers, not companies, and that leadership and management development remains critical in engaging and retaining staff. Thanks for your time. Thanks.